I thought I blew the kid up. I'm like, what the heck happened? Many people ask me how I got started in EMS. And it really comes down to two different times. When I became a BLS provider and when I became a paramedic. So the story I want to start with is what it took me to become a BLS provider. I had just gotten out of school, finished up my certifications, and my very first call was probably one of the most devastating calls you could go on. I had finished up my preceptorship, so I was the lead on the ambulance, and we get dispatched for a motorcycle accident involving entrapment. We get out with lights and sirens, we go to the scene, and the scene was a 4-lane divided highway with a Jersey barrier in between. And a motorcyclist wanted to cross the road at a light. He was on those Ninja type motorcycles, and he tried to beat the light. So he was going at a high rate of speed, undetermined. But as he crossed the light, a station wagon cut out from behind the Jersey barrier, and he hit that thing right behind the driver's door on the driver's side. And it was such an impact that the motorcycle and the body ended up in the back seat. And his head caught the roof line of the car and ended up about 100 yards forward. So what ended up happening is I get there, do an assessment, found the driver to be in shock, relatively uninjured. It was just enough to miss her, but she was in shock, so we did treat her. But my job as the provider was to do a scene walk around. I walked around, found the body of the individual, and I found the helmet. So I go to get the helmet, I pick it up, realize it's pretty heavy, I flip up the windshield, and the guy's still looking at me. I immediately close the windshield and walk back. Treated the patient that was in shock, took her to the hospital, but when we got back to station, that's really where you got to sit down, think to yourself, is this something I can do on a daily basis, dealing with those kind of tragedies? My next story was when I became an ALS provider or a paramedic. Again, I finished up school, 1.5 years worth of school, a lot of internship, did a lot of ride-alongs. Now I'm out on my own. And for me, I was an athlete growing up. So playing sports, I played long enough that you really didn't have to think about things that you do. When you're on the field, time kind of slows down, things get kind of crystal clear, and you don't think about the play. Coach calls it in, you just do it, you react. And that adrenaline rush you get, for me, hitting kids playing football and tackling and playing the game, I missed that. But when it came to this call, that's when I knew God put me in the right position. I was dispatched for a 12-year-old hanging. I get there, knock on the front door, they immediately usher me upstairs, go to this 12-year-old boy's room, and we find him on the floor where his dad had disconnected him from a hook on the back of his door. So what he did was actually ran the tub so no one could hear him. He hooked himself with a belt on the back of the bathroom door and hung himself. His family found him that way. So it's a huge tragedy that's going on. But I'm that expert now, supposedly. I'm the new guy going there. My nerves were going. My stomach was up in my chest. And that adrenaline rush, I got used to hitting kids. I'm now saving kids. And what ended up happening is things slowed down. Crystal clear. I didn't have to think about things. I was able to do stuff. I was able to get the intubation. I was able to get the IV placement. And I got those things. We moved from the floor to the landing to the ground to the ambulance, all in unison with these guys. We did everything we possibly could to save this kid's life. Even on the way to the hospital, when I thought something really bad happened, we did the best we could. As we were pulling into the hospital, we got what we call a rhythm that was shockable. He went into a VFib arrest. So back in the day, I used the paddles, put the gel on, I'm clear, you're clear, we're all clear. I hit the paddles, and it's like his head exploded. It freaked me out. Blood came out of his ears, came out of his eyes, came out of his mouth. It splashed up on me and hit the ceiling of the top of the ambulance. I thought I blew the kid up. I'm like, what the heck happened? So I put the paddles down, continued CPR, brought him into the ER. They did another 1.5 hour resuscitation on the kid. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it, and he expired. I go to talk to my medical command after that, and I kind of still on that adrenaline high. that's keeping me going, but I wanted to know what happened. Was there anything I did wrong? And she was like, no, you did everything perfect. I'm like, well, what happened to his head? Why did all this blood come out? And it was because of that traumatic asphyxiation. As we were bumping and blowing, it just let loose. There was nothing we could have done. That's exactly what was going to happen. But at that moment in time, I knew in that stressful situation, I got the adrenaline rush I used to as a kid. I now get an adult, and God put me in the right direction. So 19 years later, I'm still doing this job. And there are those times where when you save a life, it makes a real difference.